Hey everyone, here's this month's classic recast episode. This is episode 70 from way back in season 5. And I happened to be having lunch with our friend Peter the other day, listener of the show, and we were both talking about our early days in Bangkok and how no matter how hard we tried, the city just kept beating our asses into the ground, no matter what we did to come out on top. And got me thinking of this old episode where Ed and I each shared a few stories about our lives back in the day where no matter how hard we tried to understand Bangkok or get on top of the situation in Bangkok or really understand how Bangkok works, it just didn't work and Bangkok continued to beat our asses into the ground. Fun times. Hopefully things have improved for you just like they have for us. So anyway, here's a fun look back at episode 70 from season 5. On this episode, we discuss 10 Bangkok situations that always seem to trip us up even after all these years.
So if you've ever been caught shaking your fist at the sky and yelling, "Bangkok, you got me again," you'll love this episode of the Bangkok Podcast.
Sawadee and welcome to the Bangkok Podcast. My name is Greg Jorgensen, a Canadian who came to Thailand on July 20th, 2001. So I would like you all to join me in celebrating the start of my 21st year in the land of smiles.
Wow, congratulations! But what a newbie, man! You're basically almost 2 years behind me. So I think
there's always someone richer, smarter, better looking, and someone who's been here longer than you.
Or all four, which would be me. Certainly, that is certainly not the case. But no, seriously, congratulations. That's huge. On August, it's funny because my first day, I believe, was August 21st. So I came basically a month later, but a year earlier. So you're only 11 months. Only 11 months difference between us. But
you were here first. You win.
I think it's pretty obvious in that 11 months. I've gained like immense wisdom that you have yet to reach. You have yet to reach my level.
You got me.
And I'm Ed Knuth, an American who came to Thailand on a 1-year teaching contract almost 22 years ago.
Oh.
Fell in love with having 5 days a year when I don't have to run my air conditioning to fall asleep. So I never left.
Today's one of those days, right? It's pretty nice outside right now.
That's what made me think of it. I just cherish those days. It's so rare, but they're special. When, I put on my air conditioning and then it's just so cold. And then I check, the temperature on the aircon and I'm like, wait a minute, why is it so cold? And then I realize, oh shit, it's cooler outside. It's the general temperature.
Right. Yeah, you want to open your windows except for all the mosquitoes, but
that's right. No, but it's pretty rare, huh?
It is rare, yeah. And you learn to just love them. It must be like living in Svalbard when you have a really warm day. It gets up above 15 degrees. You're like,
you're like, wow, oh my, wow. Yeah, here. I feel like in Bangkok, there's, I don't know if it's actually 5 days, but I feel like there's just a few days a year where I just turn off the aircon and all is good. All is good.
Oh, I'm not sweating. Isn't that cool?
All right, we want to give a big thanks to all of our patrons who support the show. Patrons get a whole bunch of cool stuff, including our ad-free regular show a day early, emails with behind-the-scenes photos of our interviews, access to our Discord server to chat with me, Greg, and other listeners around the world, and various other goodies. But best of all, patrons also get an unscripted, uncensored bonus episode every week where we riff on current events and Bangkok topics. We just finished recording this week's bonus show, and we chatted about the insane cost of airplane tickets right now, including a story of one of our American listeners who saw the prices and decided Cancun would get their tourist bucks instead of Thailand, plus complaints about Instagram's stupid messaging capabilities making us miss messages from our listeners, and discussion about an expat survey that saw Thailand jump back into the top 10 for best places in the world for expats. And I got to agree with that.
Yeah.
To learn how to become a patron, click the support button at the top of our website.
Right. And as always, if you have something interesting to say or a show idea or a joke, or just want to say hi, head over to bangkokpodcast.com, click the little microphone button on the bottom right to leave us a voicemail, and we will play that on the show as long as it's nice. All right, well, in this episode, we're going to have a little bit of fun by casting us, that's me, Ed, and you, the listener, that's right, you, as the hero, and Bangkok as the villain. Now, Bangkok is a big, gnarly city that doesn't suffer fools, and we probably all know someone who has came, saw, and gotten the hell out because Bangkok, in some way, shape, or form, did them dirty. And it's not just clueless noobs in elephant pants, it happens to all of us, even lifers like ourselves. Sometimes, no matter how hard you try, you just have to realize that Bangkok has won this round, and there ain't nothing you can do about it. So we thought it'd be fun to go over 10 situations that keep catching us with our pants down, so to speak, no matter how well prepared we think we are. So Ed, this is your idea. I think it's a really fun way to look at Bangkok because it is a force of nature and we are just puny humans.
That's right. And he's not just talking about literal nature. It's just life in Bangkok. There's certain, I think of them as kind of gotchas where it's just, I get burned and I learn a lesson. And, in my mind, I'm thinking, all right, I'm never going to do that again.
Yeah.
But then sure enough, a month later, I do it again. A year later, I do it again. And I've been here 20 years. And I just keep making these mistakes over and over again. And, the bottom line is some of them are, minor in the scheme of things, but it's still annoying.
Right.
when you just make the same mistake or you get burned again by the same damn problem. But other things are fairly major where it could screw up your life or screw up your travel plans if you make one of these mistakes.
Right. And the other one thing they all have in common is that no matter how much screaming, you're blue in the face, red in the face, you can jump up and down, you can plead, you can beg. You just have to say, well, I'm not winning this one. And
yeah. And, we're sticking to either well-known things or repetitive problems. So, sometimes there's just some unique thing that got on your way that you can't really blame yourself. Like something weird happened and you can't get where you need to go. But that's not what we're talking about. So we're talking about these things that with a little bit of knowledge, or if you've been listening to the Bangkok podcast, you even on day one in Thailand, if you've been listening to our show, you should be ready for these problems. So what we did is we've just kind of collected them all in one place.
That's right. Yeah. So we got the list of 10 here. We're just going to go through them. You want to go first there, Ed? Or do you want me to go first?
Yeah. So one of them, we mentioned it before, I think at least on the bonus show, we talked about what I like your term, the sidewalk squirt. There are other phrases you could use to describe it. But this is the weird fact that in Bangkok, the tiles on the street or the ceramic or cement tiles are often unstable. Yeah. And after a rain, water can collect underneath the tile. So even if the sidewalk looks dry, you can step on like an unstable part of the sidewalk and then like the gunk, the dirty water, whatever you want to call it, it shoots sludge up. It shoots up either on your sock, your leg, or your pants.
Yeah, and if you do it really forcefully, unluckily, if you're wearing shorts, it'll go right up your legs, right into your nether regions.
Yeah, because normally you're just, you're walking on the street, you're putting your full weight on things, and then you hit the edge of a tile. You're right; it can fly. It can fly up to the groin area. It can.
And it just you don't always think about it, and you're walking after a storm. And I walk real fast, so sometimes I'm walking on the road or a pavement or some asphalt, and then I'll just continue walking and change onto a sidewalk surface without even realizing it, and then I'm like, God, why didn't I see that coming? It got me again.
Right. We should have known better because this happened. This happened the first year you were here.
Yeah, exactly,
Mr. Jorgensen. It did, but it's still you just still forget. Part of this is the general advice, just when walking in Bangkok, to be careful where you step because this is an ankle-breaking city. There's no doubt about it.
Right.
But in particular, this one is so annoying because there can still be water under the whatever you want to call it, under the tile, even if it's dried up. So like if it's right after a rain, I usually remember,
Yeah, that's a good point.
There's puddles, there's puddles around, but those puddles evaporate, but then the water under can last longer,
Yeah, our friend Stu J. Raj, who will be on the show in a few weeks, he calls it a brick flick, which I think is a good term. I think everyone has their own little pet name for it, but
great term.
Gross either way.
All right, dude, you got one?
Yeah, no, this is something that I think all of us have been guilty of. You're like, okay, I'm done at my place here. I got to go to the next place. Got to grab a taxi, and I'll just go out to the road. Hey, there's a taxi. I'll jump in. Looks like a new, nice, comfortable taxi. Jump in, and you tell the destination, and then you just realize, oh no, I'm on Silom, or I'm in Siam Square, or I'm on some soy and it's rush hour, or it's about to rain or something like that. And you realize that, oh my God, I'm stuck in traffic and it's
Oh yeah.
it's gonna double it's gonna double the time that I take to get to where I want to go.
Yeah, no, this is a good one. And I know when you hear this, someone you might want to say, hey, rush hour, that's a universal thing. Like, where I live, rush hour is bad. So this is not a Bangkok problem. But you're wrong. The problem with Bangkok is that the even though it's a fairly big city, if it's not rush hour or some unique thing, you can surprisingly go fairly far fairly quickly.
Yeah.
But if you just mistime something, it's a whole nother world.
Right.
It's not twice as long. It's more like 5 times longer.
Right.
So, for example, in Bangkok, the difference between heading into the city center at 3:30 and maybe 4 o'clock or 4:15 is drastic.
Yeah, right.
Like if you can get in under the wire, like I can go from where I am to the city center, it'll be 30 minutes.
Exactly.
But if it's like 4:01, that 30 minutes becomes like an hour 15.
Yeah,
Like
if
it's
in the morning,
drastically different.
in the morning, if I leave for work at 8:15, I'll get to the office at 9. If I leave at 8:45, I'll get to the office at 9:05.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you mistime it or forget where you are or where you're going, then you could just have your plans completely derailed.
That's right. That is a classic Bangkok gotcha where you walk out of some place and you're like, I want to go here, and you get in the taxi and then you're like, oh shit,
I didn't think of
it's
the
this time. Yeah, that's right.
The weather, the season, the holiday, whatever, the long weekend, whatever it is.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right. What's your next one?
All right, this one is, I just get burned by this. This actually might be just my personal number one. And again, I've mentioned it on the show before, at least on the bonus show. It's not being prepared for freezing air conditioning. And for me, it's in 2 places. It's Starbucks or movie theaters.
Right. You're a big Starbucks guy.
Right. No, so I go to grade. I mean, sometimes I've got, often I have hundreds of exams, and I take them to a Starbucks. And my plan, I'm a long hauler. I mean, I go there. It's basically like I'm going camping, dude. Like I'm ready. I'm set up. I've got my tablet. I've got my phone. I've got 2 separate chargers. Like I'm ready to go. I try to camp near the bathroom. I'm gonna build a fort, at a table in Starbucks, and I'm there for 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours, like 8 or 9 hours. I'm in for the long haul, but it's freezing in there, man. And so if I remember, it's long pants, which I normally don't wear unless I'm going to work, so shorts is Bangkok attire. So I put on some jeans and I bring a hoodie with me. And if I've got my jeans and basically a sweatshirt, Starbucks is perfect.
Right. Paradise.
And my camp is perfect. I've got all the, it's too expensive, but to me, I am paying for the environment. So the coffee's twice as expensive as it should be, but I mean, I'm going to camp there for 5 hours. So
right, but you're going to be there for 5 hours and spend 400 baht.
It's a camping, right? It's a camping fee. It's a camping fee.
Yeah.
But damn, if I forget to dress properly, it's brutal because I don't want to go. So I'm sitting there and it's freezing. It's so much colder than outside. And then I'm always debating I could just run home, but then I'm like, if I run home, what's the point of even coming here? And the whole thing is it's just a bad experience, man.
Right. The same in movie theaters too, right? Because you go in and halfway through the theater, you're like, God, freezing. I'm shivering here. Sometimes they crank that aircon way up.
Yeah. So yeah, and so then you get this thing where you want to step out to warm up, but you don't want to miss any part of the movie.
Right. I think it's a good opportunity for business, man. We should have a little kiosk outside of Starbucks selling duvets. Something.
Seriously. I mean, when I look around Starbucks, you do see, it seems to be usually girls, but they'll have a little blanket with them. They'll have a little wrap.
Yeah, I've seen people with full on seriously a duvet, an eider down, what else my grandma used to call them, wrapped around them, because I guess they're like they're there for the long haul.
Those are the smart people.
Yeah,
I'm in the forgetful group, the group that I'm the guy in the corner shivering, going, damn it.
That's when you step out into the April heat and go, oh God, it's so nice.
All right, man, what do you got?
All right, the next one is something that we all have probably been burned by, and that is when you forget to have the proper documentation for something that you don't think you should have documentation for.
Brutal.
Whether it's a
Brutal.
bank book at a bank, a passport, a photo, or even if you're like, oh, I have some change in my wallet, I gotta convert it at an exchange booth. Oh, you don't have your passport. Or like, oh, I've got to go and renew this thing. Oh, I need a certification from my embassy for this translation.
That's right. Yeah.
Like,
So
you just
like,
don't
yeah, for sure.
anticipate the amount of documentation that you will need.
Yeah, it's funny. You know, this fits into our truism about Thailand that we mentioned many times. That in Thailand there are no rules until there are rules. So on the one hand, Thailand has a super casual vibe, just in everyday life, where you just kind of feel like you can just chill and relax, and it's just not a strict place. That's just how we think in general. Like when we picture Thailand, we don't picture strictness and harshness.
Right.
But the truth is, it's also a very bureaucratic culture, where once you step into like officialdom, like once you step into like government or major corporations, they have a list of 5 things you need to do X and 6 things you need to do Y.
Yeah.
And so you can't just like roll in with your wallet and do something.
No.
It's not like that. It's like, okay, we need your passport, we need your tabi and bond, like your house papers.
Sure.
We
and
need
you need
X,
the
X.
Paul Maga document. You're like, of course they need that Paul Maga.
That's right. When I tried to go to do my driver's license before I went back to the States, because I wanted my Thai driver's license, which I knew would work back in the States, I look at the list, and one of the things you needed was a certificate of residence, and I had my permanent residency book, which on the book, it says certificate of residence. That's what it says. So I'm like, I'm good. So I go to apply to my driver's license. They're like, no. No. There's another piece of paper called the certificate of residence. And I'm like, and I said, I don't need that because I've got this book that says certificate of residence. And they're like, nope, that's not the one.
Right certificate of residence.
That's right. So
that's a booklet of residence, you idiot.
That's right. So it's just a reminder. Anytime you step, it's fascinating because there's just kind of open life in Thailand, which is very informal, and just it almost seems like there's no rules, But then there's a line. And then you cross into like rule dumb. You cross into like heavy regulation.
The kingdom of rule.
That's right.
I got to say I have learned this though, and what I did is I got like a special little man purse, and it is stuffed with photos, copies of everything. I've got my Google Cloud has like a special folder where I've got photocopies of everything that I can just email to someone if they need.
You have like medical photos of your armpit just in case. You never know if they're.
You never know. Yeah, that's the Palma certificate you got to fill out. So I've got this thing just stuffed with papers that I'll probably never ever need.
No,
but
that's smart.
You never know.
That's a good expat move. It's like the pre-bureaucracy. It's like their survival kit.
I got pictures in like 5 different sizes. I'm like, you want a picture? You go. You want 2 by 2? You want 2 by 3?
That's a bureaucratic go bag.
Exactly.
That is smart. That is some wisdom right there.
Yeah. What's next?
All right, dude, I got one for you. Yeah. Both you and I use taxis. I use it more because I generally don't drive as you do, but obviously you've taken many taxis over the years.
Many.
And in general, if you have to pay a fare, typically they're under 100 baht because the fares are so cheap. And so normally if you have 100 baht or 200 baht, obviously the taxi driver has change. But here's a annoying fact is that quite often taxi drivers will not have change for a 500 baht note, and the odds they have change for 1,000 baht note is pretty low.
Right.
And I get burned by this where I've got 500 baht in my pocket, but it's the fare is 53 baht, and then he doesn't have change, and then it's a mess because you got to find an ATM machine, or he's got to run out of the cab to find someone to make change.
Right, he's got to go to some pineapple vendor and be like, "Hey, do you have change for this?" But you're sitting in the back like a tool. Hey, I don't have.
That's right. I mean, God, I've been burned by this so many times.
So dumb.
It's brutal. So, okay, what's your take on this? Here's my take. I think in general, it should be the taxi driver's responsibility to make change. Does that make sense? Because it's his job or her job.
I agree, but with 500 baht bills, if I jump into a taxi and I'm like, bye Silom or something like that, and I get there and I pull out my wallet and I'm like, oh, right, I only have 1,000 baht. I think that's on me.
Ah, okay.
I don't think a taxi driver should be expected to have change for 1,000. That's asking a bit much.
No, I like that. You're right. I mean, we have to remember, just due to exchange rates and all that kind of stuff, 1,000 baht, which in the U.S. terms might be whatever it is now, $35. In a way, because of what it can buy, it's more like $100 bill. Like that's like, and if you drop $100 bill on an American taxi driver, I mean, he or she probably would have changed, but he might not. 100 would be like, that'd be like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah,
like dropping $100 bill on me.
50, okay.
Yeah, but anyway, this is a good show, because you're getting some really practical advice just before you get into a cab. Check your wallet, check your purse, make sure you've got 20s and 10s, because unfortunately, you can't count on the driver to have the change.
Right. And of course, the magical, rarest of all notes, the blue 50. I hoard those in my wallet, because whenever you get a taxi, there's always, the fare is like 62 baht or something like that.
That's right.
So, you don't
I don't even call them blue notes, man. I call them gold. Those 50s, those 50 baht notes, they are golden.
They are, man.
That's good advice for a tourist or expat. Like, hoard your 50 baht notes.
Yeah, totally. All right, this is something that's happened to me many, many times, and I imagine it's happened to other people as well. It's when you're going to some formal event, a funeral, a wedding, a dinner, a meeting with your boss, or something like that, where you have to dress up slightly more than you normally would. Now, obviously, when you dress up, you put on a bit more clothing, or a different type of clothing that's usually a bit warmer than your normal clothing. But what happens to me is that I think like, oh, I'm just going to this thing. It'll be inside. It'll be air conditioned. I'm not going to be moving around a lot. No problem. But then inevitably you're stuck outside. There's no fan. There's a lot more walking than you had planned on it. And you're just,
I know where this is going.
You're just sweltering. And pretty soon you're just like this disgusting, sopping mess of a person, where your nipples are showing through your shirt and you got pit stains coming down, and you just really underestimated how hot your day would be.
Yeah. Okay. So this is, So for me, my version of this is, normally when I teach in person, which I'm going to start doing again next month, I wear a dress shirt, but then I also wear a t-shirt. But then occasionally, whatever, I don't have a clean t-shirt. So sometimes I just throw on a dress shirt when I go to work. And I'm thinking, oh, this will be okay. I'm not going to be outside much. But this is the classic mistake, because if you depending on the type of cloth you're wearing, depending on the dress shirt, you could just be outside for 5 minutes. And you're like, I'm just running to eat lunch, from aircon to aircon.
Yeah, right.
But then when I come back to class, I've just got ridiculous armpit stains.
Yeah,
just like blatant, like big dark circles around my armpits. It's horrible, man.
I still have PTSD from an incident that happened to me about 18 years ago, and I was still very new here, and I had just come from like a special meeting with like the new school I was going to be teaching at, and I was wearing like my best white shirt and my nice tie, and I was like dressed up all good. And for whatever reason, my friend and I decided to get on a non-aircon bus to ride back across the river.
Ooh, crucial error.
Yeah, and we're like, the windows are open, we'll just go. And so we got on, and of course we went 15 feet and stopped in traffic, and this bus was crowded. So I'm sitting there, and it's just, there's no music. All you hear is just this idling of the bus and the traffic all around you. No one's talking. Inside my head, I'm shrieking, I'm screaming like, move! But of course, and then you cut to me just sitting there quietly, and sweat is dripping down my back and off my forehead.
Dude, that's like a fatal error. Like all of these things we're talking about, it's like when you're playing a video game and you make a mistake, and then it just starts blinking like fatal error, error.
Oh, no.
These are Bangkok mistakes. If you got to factor in the sweat, sweat factor, and I'm sure it applies to women in one way or the other. It's like you got to be thinking, I've got to plan what I'm wearing, just based on the fact that if I'm outside for 5 minutes, I'm going to be sweating like a pig.
Right. And women have to deal with makeup and stuff too, that we don't.
Yeah, same thing. So. Yeah. So it's really, in a way, it's the underestimation of sweat. That's the error.
That damn bus, man. I still think about that.
That's so funny. That is so funny.
All right. What's next?
So I admit this is rare, but it still just hurts. And it's when a restaurant or bar has a dress code. And the reason this kind of hurts so bad is that, as I mentioned before, Bangkok is in general so casual. The truth is, you can go to 98% of places in Bangkok in shorts, a t-shirt, and flip-flops. It's just, that's almost like the Bangkok uniform.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Thai people tend to dress better than foreigners on average. I'll be the first to admit that. But the bottom line is, as I said before, it just, Thai culture is casual. So casual is the general rule. But it just so happens that there's a line. And there's just certain bars or restaurants. The most classic example would be, I think it's called Labua or Shirako. It's whatever the rooftop bar of State Tower is called. I guess maybe
Sirocco,
Labua is, okay, maybe Labua is the restaurant, Shirako is the bar.
Yeah.
It's one of the best views in all of Thailand. It's an incredible view. But they notoriously are very strict about their dress code. No shorts, no flip-flops, and they enforce it absolutely strictly. So you could show up with, like, you know, your great grandmother who's 95, and if one person in your, you know, your group has flip-flops, they won't let you in. And they won't bend. They will not bend at all.
No, they're hardcore. There's no rules until there are rules, and then they're absolutely non-negotiable.
That's
and
right.
this burned me a bunch of times because I used to lead night tours. So there was many times where I would be out with people, and for whatever reason, and not just leading tours, but not maybe even in an official capacity, but even when, like you said, you got friends
With
in town,
friends, sure. No, it happened to me, sure.
or something.
Sure.
So you show up there, and it's either like one guy can't come in or you all can't come in. Like,
that's right.
so
That's right.
You feel bad about leaving your buddy outside.
Yeah. So this is a little bit of a strange gotcha because in general, you really don't have to worry about it. But that's why you tend to fall asleep. You tend to think like, oh, I can roll in anywhere this way, but you can't. There's just some, and it's happened to me at other restaurants. So it's not only Shirako, not to pick on them. There are a few other, you know, Bangkok is well known for 5-star restaurants, and if you just have to remember to check the website or maybe give them a call if you're going to roll in with shorts. Just there is a line. Just remember that.
Years ago, I was leading a tour, and we showed up to one of these places, and one guy was wearing flip-flops. Where there was like 8 of us, and
That's right.
one guy, and it's like, well, either you have to wait here for us for 2 hours while we have fun and drink, or we all can't go in. So what I did was I told everyone to go in, and then me and this one flip-flop guy, we jumped in the tuk-tuk and went up to a nearby market and bought him some black socks. And then came back. And so he was wearing his black socks with flip-flops and black jeans. And he didn't notice. They looked like he was wearing shoes.
They let him in. Oh, that's great. So he went in. It's funny. Like, there are, at a lot of Thai temples, the tourist ones, they have dress codes as well. But at least at those places, they have kind of fake pants or fake shirts. Like, if a girl has spaghetti straps, they won't let you in. But they have shirts, kind of fake shirts like that you can just throw on. But at certain restaurants and bars, you can't do that. They just won't let you in, and unlike almost everything else in Thailand, they won't bend.
I've been burned. Yeah. All right, so the next one is directed mostly at people who drive in Bangkok, like myself. Right? You don't drive that often, but I drive a lot, and it's just it's such a noob mistake, but it's also kind of unique to Bangkok because if you're driving somewhere and you are not really confident in where you need to go and you miss a turn, you could be going kilometers out of your way, and depending on the time of day and the traffic and where you are, that could add an 15, 20, 30, 45 minutes to your trip because you missed a little turn.
I love this one, even though, as you said, I'm not much of a driver, but this takes me back to one of my earliest Bangkok memories. It was my first Thai friend, a student of mine. So I was teaching in class. I walked out of the class and I was going to walk home because it wasn't that far. Yeah. And then a car pulled over, and it turns out it was one of my students from my class. And she was like, hey, do you want me to give you a ride home? And I said, sure. And she became this is my first class I ever taught in Thailand. So this is in August of 2000.
Oh, wow.
But the reason I bring this up is I remember I told her where I lived. And I remember she paused, and I could see that she was thinking.
Oh God. Yeah.
And I remember, and again, this is probably, it was week 1 or 2 in Thailand. And so this is a very early memory. I remember asking her, what are you doing? Or why are you pausing? And she said, I'm trying to remember all the one-way streets. So once she realized, because we were, again, to locals, you'll understand this. We were on Rumrudi going towards Sukhumvit, but I live on Soi 1.
Oh, geez.
And you can't turn right. You can't turn right there.
No.
So it's like, so she had to pause and think like, wait, okay, I'm on Rumrudi. I'm going towards Sukhumvit. I've got to drop back off on Soi 1. I'm going to have to turn left, but then I can't turn right.
But you can't turn right on wireless to go down to Peppery. You got to go.
That's right.
Oh God.
That's right. So this is honestly week 1 in Thailand. It might have been like maybe my 8th or 9th day in Thailand. I think I had about a week where I didn't have to teach a class. But I remember her sitting there like she's running the calculations. It's like she's like, before you make a turn, you better think in Bangkok. Like if you make the wrong turn, you're that has ramifications.
She opens her glove compartment, pulls out the traffic abacus. There's been many times where I'm like, is this the right? Is it? Do I turn here? Is it too late? Oh, now I'm going to be 20 minutes late.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Some mistakes are just brutal.
Yeah. But also you don't want to be too confident because you're like, oh, I just turned here. Oh no, it was the next one. Oh God, now I got to drive around the whole neighborhood. Yeah.
So, dude, I got one. It's similar to what you talked about, but it's not exactly the same because you're primarily a driver.
Right.
You have to do the calculations yourself.
Okay. Yeah.
But I'm normally a passenger in a taxi, and this is one of my gotchas. The gotcha is I get in the taxi, I tell the guy where I want to go, and then I zone out because whatever, I'm thinking of this guy like he's my limo driver, right?
Right.
But the truth is that it's very dangerous to zone out once you get into a taxi because sometimes the guys, so you think the guy understands your destination, but sometimes it's wrong and he's going the wrong way.
Yeah.
So this has happened to me
many times.
My favorite example of this was again fairly early days where I told the guy I was with a visitor and a tourist, who are showing around, and I said I wanted to go to Ayutthaya, which is north of the city.
Yeah.
And then we started chatting, and 30 minutes later, I'm looking at where we are, and we're south of the city. Oh. And I asked the taxi driver like, "Bye, Nai," and he said Pattaya.
Oh no!
So seriously, like for 30 minutes we went in the opposite direction. I'm sure, and again, I'm not blaming the taxi driver, Stu, if you're listening. I'm sure my Thai was wrong. Like I'm sure my tone was wrong, and like it sounded like Pattaya, but we wanted to go to Ayutthaya, and he went the wrong way, and I just zoned out. I just zoned out. But it's not even just if he has the wrong destination. A lot of times it's just the taxi driver won't take the best route. And I find this very frustrating because it's their job and they should know the best route or the least traffic. And, some of them are good. But the weird thing is sometimes there's a clearly better route. And then if you're not paying attention, the taxi driver just runs straight into the traffic jam.
Yeah.
That everyone knows is there. And you're like, dude, why did you turn left?
Yeah.
You could have gone down. You could have gone down this side, so we could have skipped this whole thing.
Yeah, and there's nothing you can do. You're like, I'm not going to get on the side of the highway here, or wherever you are.
Right. I mean, it's funny because when this happened to me, I'm always calculating: can I get a motorbike? Can I just jump out here? And you're right. If you're on a major road, you're just like you can't. You're like it's almost like either highway or something where you just can't get out. And even if you do get out on a side street, there's no guarantee there's going to be a motorbike guy. So. It's frustrating because in a way you pay the taxi driver so you don't have to drive, so you don't have to pay attention, but there's an asterisk. So to all of the listeners, you might want to keep your one eye on what the taxi driver is doing because sometimes they turn the wrong way and then it's over.
There's been several times where I've known the way to go. I've known the best way to go, but the taxi driver doesn't, or he thinks he knows a better way. And I want to explain to him why my way is better because but I don't have the language skills to explain to him, please trust me. Like I know this, I drive it all the time in a taxi. Like
Right.
Trust me that this
that's
is the better
another.
way. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm hostage in this taxi. I just have to go where you're going to go.
You're right. You're right. Totally. That's another layer to this. Another
Yeah.
layer is when you know the right way to go, but you can't explain to the driver why. Yes, that's so true.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know. So, yeah, you're right. So
all you can do is just sit there and go, yeah, all right, Bangkok, you win this round.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, dude. What do you got? Last one.
Last one, and man, this burns me all the time, and it's never really caught on to me. A lot of times I will be going, okay, I got a barbecue to go to, going on my friend's house for dinner or something like that. I'll just stop on the way, pick up a bottle of wine, as you do. I get into Villa, and I'm like, oh, it's 4:00. I can't buy alcohol until 5.
God, this burns me.
It always gets me. And then I show up like a tool with nothing, like, sorry, I didn't bring anything because a stupid rule I haven't remembered after 10 years.
It's funny because this kind of rule, since like the bottom line is I drink more than you do. But you're right. This happens a lot when you're just trying to prepare for you're just trying to be a good guest. You know, you're going to someone's house for dinner, or like you said, a barbecue, and you just want to roll in and you're running errands and you're thinking of all the things you have to do. And you're like, okay, I need a bottle of wine for tonight or whatever. Yeah. And then it's just the wrong time. So I believe, what is it? I think you can buy booze. Is it 11 a.m. to 2 p.m.? There is a window in the middle of the day.
Yeah. So you buy it at lunchtime or after 5 p.m. basically.
That's right. Yeah. But this happens to me a lot where I'm just, as I mentioned on the show before, I live right next to a Foodland, and I'll just run out in the middle of the afternoon because it's right next door. It's 1 minute away, and I'll just be grabbing everything I need, and I'll grab a bottle of something, and it's just like, oh, you can't buy this, and it's so annoying because that means I have to make another run later, and I wish, I've never seen. Allegedly, these alcohol sales times are designed to protect young people, to make it harder for young people to buy booze. But I wonder if there's any data on whether this actually works. It's just, it seems a little bit odd that kids would be stymied by buying alcohol at 4 p.m., but then not stymied by the fact they could buy it after 5 p.m.
Yeah. Don't apply logic.
Understood.
Your brain will start to smoke.
Yeah, that's right. That doesn't make sense, but it's just a constant reminder. Now, I want to clarify. It's not just the time per day. It's also remembering the various and apparently innumerable Buddhist holidays. And we are right in the middle of a 2-day Buddhist holiday.
Right.
Which I think is Asana Buchade, and then also Buddhist Lent. I think that might be what we're experiencing right now. So we're in a period of 48 hours of no alcohol. And while in this case, I was prepared, on Twitter, expats are bitching and moaning about, oh my God, I can't buy booze.
Yeah, well, it's funny you speak of this because we got a message today that I did happen to magically see for some reason, but we got a message today from one of our listeners named Mark Williams. How you doing there, Mark? And all it says is, first time in Bangkok in 20 years, only here one night, and I pick a dry night. Haha.
Oh shit, that's it right there. Yeah, burned, baby. But that's what this whole show is about. It's just there's just these quirks.
Yeah,
it's so and I don't know what burn is the perfect word, because even after all these years, I make these mistakes over and over, or I'm just like, it's like the Homer Simpson, just.
I always do
so
it now. And now I'm now I'm known as Greg, the guy who shows up to a barbecue with no meat and no alcohol. Like, he just freeloads from everyone who's there already.
Right. And you're always sputtering about, hey, I went to Villa. I was there at 4:15.
I'm so sorry.
I wanted to buy a bottle.
And they're just like, he says this every time. Every time he comes over, he says this.
It's great.
Yeah. So there we go. There's 10 situations that we've probably all had to deal with at some point or the other, even though we should know better. But that in a situation like this, you just have to say, all right, Bangkok, you got this one. I'll get you next time. But
Bangkok has gotcha.
I like the famous saying, you can't fight City Hall or Bangkok.
That's right. No doubt about that.
That was good. All right, let's get into some love, loathe, or live with, where one of us picks a particular aspect of living in Bangkok, which we then discuss and decide if it's something we love about living here, loathe about living here, or have come to accept as something that we just have to learn to live with no matter how we feel about it. So last time I asked Ed what he thought of dogs in strollers. This week, Ed, it's all you.
All right, Greg, I feel like this practice is fairly random. I think sometimes it happens at more expensive places, but sometimes at cheaper places. Like I said, I think it's fairly random. But you're at a restaurant or bar, you sit down, and the first thing they bring you is a towelette or maybe even a cold, kind of icy little towel. Yeah. Sometimes you got to crack open the packet, sometimes not. What's your take? What's your take? 'Cause I realize this could probably happen in the West, but I just don't remember it happening that much back home.
Back home, they'd probably give you a heated towel, but here
Right.
it's usually chilled. I'm a hard, immediate love on this one, man.
So you get the icy towel, you're like, thank you.
Well, yes, but because I have a shaved head, so I have a bit of shiny, sweaty, greasier than more normal people who are behaired. So I enjoy the opportunity to wipe my entire dome down with a nice cold towel. Yeah, I love it.
Well, I'm going to agree with the caveat being, I remember when I first got here, I didn't quite get it, or I remember I felt awkward. Like I remember getting a towel or whatever, and then kind of being at the table, and I was trying to figure out, is this for my hands? Is this for my face? And then,
right.
like you said, there is this tendency. You start out, oh, this is just to wipe my hands, but then you start thinking, well, I might as well. My face is sweating,
yeah.
So then I start wiping on my face. Then I'm rubbing behind my ears. Then I'm sticking it in my ear. Then then I'm in my own shower. It's like all of a sudden
on your armpits.
That's right. So my only caveat is that at first I didn't quite get it, and I felt kind of awkward, like wiping myself down. But now I'm with you. Now, just right there at the table, it's almost as if you're in the bathroom.
Love it. I love it. Yeah, it's refreshing and it's cooling, and sometimes it smells real nice too. I'm a hard love.
All right, I'm in.
Cool.
Agreed.
2 loves, double love.
A final thanks to our patrons who support the show. Patrons get a ton of cool perks and the warm, fuzzy feeling knowing that they're helping support the show. Find out more by clicking support on our website and connect with us online. We're Bangkok Podcast on social media, bangkokpodcast.com on the web, or simply bangkokpodcast@gmail.com. We love hearing from our listeners and always reply to our messages.
Totally McGodely. You'll also listen to each episode on YouTube. You can send us a voicemail through our website that we'll feature on the show, or even reach out to me directly on Twitter, where I am BKK Greg. So thank you for listening, everyone. Take care of yourselves out there, and hopefully we'll see you in Thailand sooner rather than later.
Absolutely.